So this is going to be an unscripted video, and I'm going to basically talk about every single movie I watched in 2019. The first segment is my top 12 movies. The second segment is other films in 2019, so basically the ones that aren't in the top 12. And then we have some non-2019 movies that I will talk about that I watched. Here are some timestamps if you need them. Hello, it's me again. I'm sorry I haven't been posting much. I've just been busy with some stuff, but I'm here talking about my absolute favorite and least favorite movies this year. So let's get into it. Here we go. Top 12 films of 2019, the segment everyone's waiting for. Okay, so number 12 might be a surprise to some people, but number 12 is Us, directed by Jordan Peele. I love the eerie feeling this movie delivers. And Lupita Nyong'o, that's her name, she's fantastic in this movie. I think this is her best movie. And there was, I just loved the concept of the doppelgangers underground. And I had some problems with the movie. Like, if she went into the Hall of Mirrors as a kid, like, how come no one's ever been into that thing before, the hall? Because I'm sure there had to be like someone that went in there. Because otherwise, why is it just there? It's just there out in the open. If everyone does what everyone else does underground in real life, how come no one else has come into the real world yet? That was my only problem with the film. But the rest of it, the twist ending, just everything about it was amazing. Number 11 is Spider-Man Far From Home. The story is so great in this one. This might be one of my favorite Spider-Man films. And the plot was a little bit predictable at times, especially with the big thing that happens. I won't spoil it, but yeah, there's a big thing that happens in the middle of the film that might be a bit predictable to some people, but that was my only problem with it, really. The special effects were great. Tom Holland was awesome. Tom Holland's probably my favorite Spider-Man. I would say he's my favorite. Yeah. Tobey Maguire, second favorite. Andrew Garfield, least favorite. I'm sorry. Andrew Garfield is not Peter Parker. He's an attractive British man. Come on. But Far From Home's awesome. The villain's great. Night Monkey is really good. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite Spider-Man films. They also really nail the humor in these movies. I love the comedy in them. Number 10, I did not expect to like this movie so much. Dolemite Is My Name. This is a Netflix movie with Eddie Murphy. This is Eddie Murphy's first film role in 3 years, or 4. I'm pretty sure it's 3. Since Mr. Church. But Eddie Murphy's fantastic in this film. It's basically about a comedian that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, Rudy Ray Moore. And he's a very very extreme humor he does. But I found myself just loving the movie and just getting so invested in this comedian's story. I love the fact that out of nowhere he just comes up with an all-female kung fu group. I love the premise of his films. But yes, this I think it's like a biopic / comedy. That's what I would call it. It's great. I love it. Number 9 is The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese. One thing I really love about this film is, well, first of all, the story's awesome. The de-aging aspect of it is really cool, and it looks really good too. Like Robert De Niro already looks like pretty old, I would say so. But they made him look even older in this film. They made him look like just a crotchety old man. That's awesome. And Joe Pesci is probably my favorite actor in this film. All the acting is pretty good. Even Ray Romano in this film, who has just the smallest role. He's really good. But yeah, I just think the film is really well edited. It's a 3.5 hour long movie, so basically I watched it kind of in thirds. Yeah. So I just watched one third per day, and yeah, that worked out really good for me. I understood the story pretty well. And I haven't seen all of Goodfellas. I've seen some of it. But this film, it's not as good as Goodfellas, but it's a damn good film. Number 8 is Joker, directed by Todd Phillips. Joaquin Phoenix is great in this movie. I would probably say this is his best film. Her comes pretty close, but I would say this is his best movie. He's probably my second favorite Joker. Heath Ledger will always be my first. Heath is awesome. Just one tiny thing. The fridge scene, the scene where he gets into the fridge, there were some unnecessary parts in this movie, and the writing is a bit off at times, but I loved it. It was really good. The ending was very satisfying, and there was some kind of cool tongue-in-cheek puns and jokes in there, and I admire that. Some small little details, like how Bruce Wayne, that little shot of Bruce Wayne at the end, just great. That's some great foreshadowing. And I was very surprised at how much I liked this film. When I first saw the trailer for Joker, I was obviously a little bit skeptical, because like playing the Joker by Joaquin Phoenix is obviously gonna occur to some people as off-putting. But I was wrong, and he did a really good job. Number 7 is another film I did not expect to like so much, Ford v Ferrari. Christian Bale's awesome in this movie. I love his character. It's basically the story of how Ford entered the racing world and beat Ferrari. Well, actually, you can see for yourself what happens, but yeah, I won't go any further there. The sound design, ooh, so good. The zoom and the zoom, it's great. The shots of the cars were awesome. There were some explosions. That was really cool. I was very invested in the story. I did not expect to like it so much, and it was a really well put together movie. I even found myself looking up some behind the scenes of it after I watched it, and like, I've never really done that for any other film, so that was really cool. Number 6 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino. My favorite actor in this movie is Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's character Cliff, I love him so much, and I found the Manson family conflict really interesting. One thing though, just one small thing, was Sharon Tate in this movie. I don't really think that Sharon Tate needed to be in this movie. I mean, you kind of need someone from this time, like a real person in this time. They had Bruce Lee, by the way. I love Bruce Lee in this movie, the guy who played Bruce Lee. But yeah, Sharon Tate's character didn't really contribute too much in the movie. But a movie with the Mansons kind of needs to have Sharon Tate as a part of it. Yeah, it's just one small thing. But all of the acting's great, especially Leonardo and Brad Pitt, obviously, and even Al Pacino, who's not really in this film much, is really good. This film has a lot of quotes. I like that a lot. I love the writing of this film. Yeah, it's really good. Number 5 is Knives Out. This movie was awesome. I love the characters, the humor, the story, the score. Everything about it was really great. And it was a little bit, some parts were a little bit boring, but I was very, other than those, I was really invested in the story, and I wanted to know who did it, and I did find out who did it. It was a little bit predictable at first, but that's fine. It was a really good movie. Daniel Craig does a fake Southern accent in this movie, and that was very believable, surprisingly. His whole speech about donuts with the holes in them, and there was a hole in this donut. I love that. I want more writing like that in movies. Please see this film. Number 4 is Marriage Story. The performances by Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are fantastic. They basically carry this film. They're so good. And the writing's great, the whole conflict about divorce. And the editing, especially at the beginning, is awesome. I love the editing. There's this one part with the main two characters that just really drives in that conflict, and it's awesome. Number 3 is another movie I did not expect to like so much, Uncut Gems, directed by the Safdies. The Safdies did Good Time, which was a lot of people's favorite movie from 2017. Unfortunately, I did not see it, but this film definitely really makes me want to watch that movie, because this film is so great. There's lots of scenes with loud, just loud conflict and lots of chaos happening, and it's kind of basically how that setting is. I love that The Weeknd is character for no reason. I love just Adam Sandler's performance in this movie. Like, there's all this chaos happening, and he'll just spurt something out like, "Where's the f***ing gem?" The beginning and ending of this movie are really cool, and I love how they're shot. It's really trippy too. And I was very, very invested in the whole betting aspects of the story. Number 2 is The Peanut Butter Falcon. Shia LaBeouf is fantastic in this movie, and the kid with Down syndrome is also really good. Zach. Yes, Zach. It's such a simple story. Basically, he exits his nursery home, and he wants to become a wrestler, and he basically sneaks on Shia LaBeouf's boat, and the two of them kind of get to know each other, and they kind of become like brothers. And Dakota Johnson's really good in the movie. Yeah, I just kind of love everything about this film. The soundtrack, the relationships of these characters. It's a very campy film. That's how I would describe it best. It's so funny at some parts, and it's sweet. It's really happy, and it just made me care a lot about these characters, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to them. But it was so good. Please watch this film. The number 1 film of the year is Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho. This film, so good! Oh my god. It's basically the story of how the poorest family in the city mooches off, so, like, secretly has this like structured plan to mooch off of the richest family in the city, and they kind of become a parasite. That's how it relates to the title. It's the perfect title for a movie, besides The Peanut Butter Falcon. All of the performances are amazing in this film. I love the plot. I was so invested in the story. I love the film just thoroughly. Some parts were funny, some parts were scary. The film's like turned into a horror movie like halfway through for some reason. I love that. The ending was really something, and it just kind of makes you theorize a bit and think of what's gonna happen. I really hope this film wins the Oscar for Best Foreign Film. I hope it gets nominated for Best Picture. Come on, let's do something outside the box here. Let's do that. That would be really, really something if it won an Oscar. Alright, now let's cover the other ones. Worst film of the year, The Hustle. It's unfunny, annoying. Rebel Wilson is the worst in this film, and it just relies on physical humor. The physical humor is not funny. The Prodigy is boring as hell, and it's not scary at all. It does that Blumhouse thing with the heavy bass noise. Did I scare you? After is a movie literally about a One Direction fanfic. Tall Girl does not make sense at all. It's okay, so like this girl's tall and she's like, I'm tall, that's bad, and everyone hates her because she's tall. And that's the plot, basically. That's her character. She's tall. We have a tall girl at my school. No one makes fun of her. And like, no one says these things in real life. Wine Country is awkward and unfunny. It's just really hard to watch these past SNL actors just try to be funny. And it's not that they're not funny. They're funny sometimes, but the writing is just really poor in this movie, and I found myself just feeling nothing. Dr. Sleep. Everyone rated this film like 7 out of 10 for some reason. This film's awful, and it does not deserve to be called a sequel to The Shining. And it uses nostalgia as kind of a plus factor. Oh wow, look, I remember that from The Shining. Oh look, the hall from The Shining, remember that? This film is boring. 5 Feet Apart is every single movie from 2014. Isn't it romantic? The only thing I like in this movie that gives it just a little bit of personality is the musical number at the end. That was the best thing in the whole movie. And I wish they could have like something more like that. Captain Marvel does not need to exist. It's useless. It's just setting up a character for Avengers Endgame that we're probably not going to see in 5 years. The Lion King also did not need to exist. This movie has no emotion to it or personality. The cast, I actually like the cast. The cast is alright. It's just that these characters look so unoriginal. They look like real life animals, and that's kind of hard to. This film was made to be animated, and when you put those things onto real animals, it doesn't work. Gemini Man, the action in this movie is really good actually. But the whole story thing and the talking about the Gemini, I found that to be a bit dumb. And I love there's an actual line in this movie where Will Smith says, "You put a person inside of another person."
You made a person out of another person.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker does not feel like a conclusion to the series. It does not. It kind of got the Game of Thrones treatment a little bit. And at the end of the previous Star Wars, The Last Jedi, which is a film I actually like, the characters are kind of in a bad situation. At the start of this film, they're like everything's fine for some reason. By the way, what about Rose? Like Rose was a main character last film, and in this film she's just talking. She's just there. I actually liked Rose a lot in Last Jedi. And they just kind of threw her out in this one. That kind of made me a little bit upset. Didn't Finn and Rose have like a relationship? What happened to that? Where'd You Go, Bernadette is the most disappointing film of the year. Cate Blanchett is really good in this film. But the writing, like Richard Linklater made this film. He made School of Rock, fantastic movie. He made Boyhood, fantastic movie. But like he made this, and this is just dumb. Hustlers, I feel like this film needed to have less parts of the characters, like, having fun or whatever. I feel like they needed to focus more on the conflict at hand, you know, the drugs and stuff. I feel like there wasn't enough of that. But J-Lo is great in this movie. Constance Wu is really good. The performances, for the most part, were really good. Always Be My Maybe was good. I liked it. I feel like I just had this feeling in the movie that Sasha still hated Marcus, and that just kind of threw off the relationship for me. I feel like the characters just needed more romantic moments, basically. Yesterday, I actually like Yesterday. It needs to have a bit more of that aspect on Fame. I feel like they should have shown Jack, the main character Jack, on like the billboard more, and they did. I feel like they did show that in like a little 20-second montage. But there needs to be more, like, of that Fame aspect. Like, show him on all of the Tonight shows. Show him on all of the late-night talk shows. Don't just show him on just James Corden. Also, I wanted more Beatles songs. The choices in this one were a bit, kind of basic, and there was not enough obscurity in there. Like, come on, I Am the Walrus, Michelle, just something like that. Ready or Not, the ending of this film looked like a YouTube video by Smosh or Corridor Digital. Like, the ending I laughed at, but I'm pretty sure they intended for that. But everything else about this movie, I like the plot a lot. There was gore in this film. Yeah, the ending was kind of just a little bit dumb. Judy, Renee Zellweger is fantastic in this film. But the other stuff was a bit boring. Bikram, this was a documentary about the yoga instructor Bikram, and I was very interested in the story and how he became kind of a big creep, and yeah, I just found it interesting. But the kind of like in the middle a bit, it was a bit boring. Reject False Icons. This is the second Gorillaz documentary, and it focuses on Phase 4 and Phase 5 of it, like humans in the now. I actually thought this documentary really well put together, but I wanted it to feel more like Bananas, the first documentary. And this kind of felt like a tour montage, but I was very invested and I thought it was good. Toy Story 4, when you've been with these characters for 20 years and they kind of put together an ending like that, it kind of like makes Toy Story 1 fans a little bit angry. But as a Toy Story film, this is really good. And I thought since like this film was focused around Bonnie, it was gonna be annoying, but no, it was fine. But the child in me, I really need to get the child in me out to see this film, because obviously I'm a bit older now, and it's been 10 years since Toy Story 3, and but I surprisingly liked this film a lot. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks did great as Mr. Rogers in this film. I just wanted a bit more of Tom Hanks. That's all I have. Avengers Endgame. As a conclusion to the MCU, this film is great. It will satisfy fans. It's just a little bit too long. Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. I found myself liking it a lot, and the humor is really good. And the idea of just this journalist sitting in his basement dating the next president is funny. We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I heard people like hate this film. I thought it was pretty good. The performances were great, especially Sebastian Stan, and the set design was awesome. Rocket Man, starring Taron Egerton. This film is really well put together, and Taron is great as Elton John, and the songs, they got some great Elton John songs. I keep stuttering, Jesus. I love the outfits, very Elton John, and yeah, it was a really, really good film. I actually liked this film more than Bohemian Rhapsody. Blinded by the Light. This was the Bruce Springsteen-inspired film, and it's very surprising that a movie about Bruce Springsteen I like a lot more than a movie about the Beatles. And the Beatles are just, they're the Beatles. But yeah, the main guy is really good, and they picked some good songs in his catalog. Shazam, I talked about this already. But for some reason, in my Shazam review, which I did a while ago, I said that this was the best DC film so far. I'm sorry, I kind of meant the best DC film in the DC Extended Universe so far. That's what I meant. Like the universe with Batman v Superman and Wonder Woman and all that. That's what I meant. Not the best DC movie, because I think the best DC movie is either The Dark Knight or Joker. That's what I meant. Fire was very interesting, and it's probably the best thing Fuck Jerry has made. Okay, now we got some non-2019 movies that I want to talk about, that I watched this year. The Kissing Booth, why? Superstar, I watch this film every year for some reason. It's funny at times, but in retrospective, it's pretty dumb. But you could get a kick out of this movie. You should watch it. Be Somebody. This movie could have been great, but they don't do enough romantic moments between these two characters. And it's about basically a Justin Bieber pop boy kind of guy falls in love with this normal college girl. We need more relationship moments between these characters. She's Out of My League is a boring movie. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is the sequel to Mamma Mia, and I actually think this film is a lot better than the first Mamma Mia, but the song choices, kind of bad, and Meryl Streep is in it for like 2 seconds. I just love the fact that they can't afford Meryl Streep anymore. Set It Up. I thought Set It Up was a good romantic comedy that a lot of couples out there would like, and it was a bit boring towards the end, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. The Witch. I love this film's just like eerie feeling, and the soundtrack's really good in those silent moments in the woods, and the ending was mind-boggling, and the acting is fantastic. Good News from 1947. I was channel surfing one night, and this film popped up, and it was weird and wonderful, and I just found myself loving it. And there was this one specific song that was funny, because she was teaching like the guy French, and she sung like 2 verses in French, and then the guy like knew French all of a sudden, like he knows the entire French alphabet. Like what?
The pronouns that you need are je and vous. Je means me, and vous means you.
Now do them all.
Just watch me plow right through. Je and vous, tu chattes fermé, tu open ouvrir, la porte du bois, rouge, blanc et noir, le papier, le cahier, le crayon, la chaise, la plume, le livre, j'ouvre la porte.
Charlie and the Chalk Factory from 2005. This film is a classic for me. The Disaster Artist with James Franco. James Franco, sometimes it feels like he's doing a Tommy Wiseau impersonation, and at some other times it feels like he is Tommy Wiseau. And that threw it a bit out the window for me. But this film was really well made. I loved it. Lady Bird is a very campy movie about this high schooler going to college, and it's made by Greta Gerwig, who's a really good director. And I think everyone would like it a lot. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I watch this every single Christmas, and I watched this one. And Jim Carrey just carries the whole movie. He's amazing. I feel like he improvises some lines. And his commitment to this movie amazing because he does the makeup cycle 100 and something times, and he's really good. The Favorite, I didn't get a chance to watch that last year, but I watched it this year, and the set design, the performances, and the editing, and the soundtrack, really good. And my favorite actress in this movie either is Emma Stone or Olivia Colman. Star is Born. Lady Gaga needs to do more movies. She honestly does. And she's really good in this one. And I honestly believed that this relationship between these two characters was real. Billy Elliot is a brilliant movie. It's just brilliant. Mid-90s, Jonah Hill. This is his first full-length movie. It's really good. It really is good. I feel like he needs to do more stuff like this. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I saw that for the first time this year. This film is so great, and I love the quotes in this movie. So many quotes, and the 7 deadly X's. Was it 7? I'm pretty sure it was 7. Edgar Wright has become one of my favorite directors. Roma. I didn't get a chance to watch it last year. I watched it this year. The cinematography is the highlight of this film. It's so great. But yeah, it was awesome. La La Land has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. And Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, they're so great in this film. And people say that their singing and dancing is not the best. I actually think it's really good. The Joyla Club is from 1993, and I love this film. The performances are great. It's about basically 4 mothers who are all telling their backstories and stuff. Every single backstory is so interesting and amazing in their own way. And I recommend this movie to anyone who hasn't watched it yet. 5 centimeters per second is Makoto Shinkai's best film in my opinion. And lots of people say it's Your Name. Your Name is a really awesome movie, but I think this one is awesome. And I love this film because I love the realism of it. There's no magic cat women. There's no people going to space or whatever. It's just the real hearts of real people, the aspect of time. Song at the end. Ooh, really good. Her from 2013 is one of the best films I've ever watched, and I watched it for the first time this year, and I cried. It was so good. Joaquin Phoenix, you know what? I think this is his best film. I changed my mind. I changed my thought in the past. This is his best movie, without a doubt. The plot is so simple, but so intriguing, and a man who loves an AI system, but the people around him, or some people around him, including his ex, find that a bit odd. But it was so amazing, especially towards the end. It just ends perfectly. So yeah, that was my movie list for 2019. And there were so many great films released this year, and tons of doo-doo shite. And I hope you liked that a lot. Let me know your opinions in the comments or whatever you want. I'm very excited for the 2020s, and take care of yourselves and have yourself a damn good one.
Welcome to Vietnam, the home of the phenoms. It's only one city that we